grade inclusion at Spencer Borden.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was it was the first week for the second cohort of students. They're doing like Tiverton and they're switching off. So I sat in the office for the first hour and a half and nobody could help me and nobody could tell me where they wanted me to be or what to do. And I'm like, I can help, just put me to work. And they were like, no, no, no. So I sat there for an hour and a half until somebody was free to get me set up and show me where my room was. And then it was nonstop.
Right, so we're all set with the streaming, and you may call the meeting to order whenever you'd like. It's all set on our end.
All right. It's 7 o'clock. I call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. The first item on our agenda is the consent agenda. I did not receive anything from the Friends or the Foundation.
Nor did I. I did not receive anything to pass on. It was just our minutes and the union report.
Then we will remove the Friends and Foundation report from the consent agenda. And we will, are we happy with the minutes? Any comments on the minutes or the Union Public Library report?
No, I'll make a motion to approve our August 17th minutes and the Union Public Library Association report.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
All right. Moving on to the treasurer's report.
Okay, so as far as income and expense reports go, our primary expenses in August were payroll, staff benefits, building maintenance, and cleaning supplies. Cleaning supplies have definitely been one of the more surprising expenses. I didn't anticipate it being as high as what we are looking at now. So that's something I'm going to be looking at over the next couple of months to see if there is some more bulk purchasing that we can be doing. And we also have a lead from our state library office on disinfectant. And I think hand sanitizer was also in there, but we are actually able to purchase hand sanitizer in bulk right now. It's more disinfectant spray and wipes that are difficult to find. Some new expenses include, I'm looking at having an electrician install usage meters on some of our boxes. I also have our HVAC control system company coming back to do a check in our computer system. I have had multiple conversations with National Grid and also an electrician who we're now working with to see if we can really narrow down this electricity usage issue right now. It did go down. I'm not sure of the exact kilowatt hours, but the most recent bill, it did go down. So we're at least starting to get on the other side of that. But we still want to know why so that we can make sure that is taken care of. Our water bill upcoming will be higher than anticipated. We had 2 faulty toilets, and the issues that we have with these toilets are when they malfunction, they keep running and running until somebody sees it and realizes that might be a problem. So we actually had 2 of those happen in the women's restroom. In the longer run, I think it might be worthwhile investigating having manual flush installed in the restrooms. We right now have automatic, which is fantastic because as soon as somebody exits, it flushes. But with this issue and the water bill being what it was, I think that in the long run, if we're constantly having to replace these parts, it's not worthwhile to have the automatic usage. And the parts are not cheap by any means. It's about $200 per toilet part when we have to replace those. We also had to contribute to the water bill. We had the water was needed for some of the siding work Our contractor was wonderful, and we are very happy with the work that was done on the outside. The building inspector did come through and take a look, and if you take a walk around the library right now, it looks fantastic. So that was another water need, and also a significant amount of water was needed for the HVAC cleaning that we needed. This had never been done, and it's not something that's regularly scheduled. It's just the coils are cleaned when they get dirty, kind of thing. So after 5 years, we did need that, and the technician was here all day for that. We've almost closed out fiscal year 20. We're still waiting on a shipment of shelving, and that has been back ordered for some time. So once we receive that and it isn't invoiced, we will close out fiscal year 20, and we will owe the town $5.05. So I think that's pretty spot on from where we've been over the past couple of years. And that will be paid from our Bank Newport account. Another upcoming expense that I'm not sure where this will land yet, but as you know, Justin Katz filed a complaint against the library board in Newport County Superior Court. And as far as I know, no action needs to be taken until a constable serves the library board. So we are not incurring any legal expenses right now. However, if that does happen with the summons coming to us and being served, then that will start with the legal expenses. So I have already contacted the town administrator because this whole issue had stemmed from a previous town administrator and a previous solicitor giving us advice on a meeting room issue. And so I have asked if the town solicitor would be willing to take on this case. So he will be asking. I do not have an answer on that yet, nor do I have really a number on that. But there is perhaps something coming down the line there. So that's all as far as what I have for income and expense reports goes. Do we have any questions? And if no, I'll move on to Bank Newport.
Could I ask a question? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want, isn't this an appeal? It's not a brand new case. It's an appeal or an appeal of an appeal.
Yes, that's correct. And our library attorney had handled the original open meetings complaint back in the spring by Justin Katz about the library board and emails between myself and the library board. So the Attorney General's office had said that there was no violation found. So that was their decision, and this is now the appeals process for that.
Sandy, you had a question?
Yeah, I did. I'm just trying to understand something. I'm sure it's pretty basic. What are the consortium network fees? What is that?
Sure. So we belong to the Ocean State Libraries Consortium, and all public libraries in the state belong to it. So what they do is they manage all of our internet and sort of like our IT hardware. With in-house, we replace things like that. But as far as like internet goes, they handle that. They also have access. They give us access to our library database with patron names and all of our library materials that are cataloged there. It's access for our e-zone. So pretty much anything that is shared by the entire Ocean State Libraries network is part of that fee. It's
basically database management.
Yes, it's like a membership fee.
Okay, thank you.
And you're welcome. And we pay quarterly for those. That actually is a bright spot of our fiscal year 20. One budget is that Ocean State Libraries received a PPP loan, so our fees for fiscal year 21 will be a little bit lower than anticipated.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, if there are no more questions, I will move on to Bank of Newport. So primary expenses this month were due to upcoming programs. And also we needed to purchase additional checks for our Bank Newport account. Intuit actually overbilled us, so we're still waiting for the refund from them. Our office administrator, Karen Simone, has been working on that and making sure that that comes through. Programming right now is mostly staff-led. We don't have a lot of programmers doing Zoom meetings, some here and there, but mostly staff-led. And supplies, you can see there was a charge from Janway for Bank Newport, and that was for program supplies. Our children's department, I'm very excited about this. They're going to be offering what's called a story walk instead of formal sit and stay story time in the fall. So there will actually be all around our property signs, and they will have a different part of each. They will have a different sort of like page to each story. So as folks walk around the property, they'll be able to go through the story, and at the end, they'll go to the children's program room door and they'll be able to receive a craft kit to take home. So this has been really well thought out by our children's librarian, and we're very excited to see this sort of come to life.
And Catherine, these will be self-led?
Yes, they will be
And people can
self-led.
do it at any time?
Yes, and I believe they'll be out during certain parts of the day. I have to check on the timing for it, but it will be for the younger ones, and they will be able to go through. Our children's librarian has done a wonderful job of planning and has, you know, really taken a lot of information from how other libraries are going to be operating this fall and put that into place. So I will definitely check on the timing of that. Okay.
I think that's a
will-
fabulous idea.
Yes, I think it's
Very
really
creative.
great. It'll be out September and I think into October, but once it starts to get a little chilly out, we're gonna start to think of some new ideas and how we can sort of roll with the times, so. Okay, so fiscal year 21 update. As you know, the FTR is scheduled for Saturday, September 26th. The budget committee's budget is the only budget on the ballot. So there is no on the ballot. It's only a yes. So as long as one citizen votes yes for this budget, then it passes. I had to check on this with the town clerk just to make sure I understood this correctly. And so
One vote and $12,000 later, we'll have a
That's
budget passed.
yes, that's correct. So if there's a yes, then we will have $585,001. I have been really sort of trying to nail down an answer on state grant aid. And OLIS has stated that there's, quote, a strong indication that the funding for libraries and the state grant aid fund will be level. I'm not sure if it's level funded, don't quote me on that, but it will be funded at the amount that was anticipated back in January 2020 when the governor first came out with her budget. So that is promising. However, I would like a for sure number for that. And we really won't know until October. So I think at this point, it would be worthwhile to meet with the budget subcommittee so that we could build a budget for proposal to the full board in October based on the FTR amount and also the state grant need anticipated amount, I guess we could say. And so I'm really hoping that by October, we'll know for sure what that amount will be. And so I guess stay tuned in a way, but I will also contact the budget subcommittee about setting a fiscal year 21 budget or making a recommendation to the full board. Any questions?
All right, if we are all happy with the treasurer's report, let's move on to committee reports. Nominating committee.
Sanford and I met a couple weeks ago in person.
Wow,
In person at the library, socially distanced. We're about 15 feet from one another.
Yeah, it was
Wearing
quite
masks.
dark. Yeah.
In case.
But we had a great meeting, and Sanford, do you want to tell them what we decided, or what we decided?
Well, I had written it down, but I misplaced it. But I think what we renominated Catherine as president. Kathy, sorry. Mrs. Herman as vice president. And I don't know if you contacted the inestimable Christine Ryan
She did.
as secretary. And I said I would volunteer as treasurer.
So those are our nominations
Yeah.
for next month.
Well, I move that we accept the slate of officers.
I'll second that.
All in favor? All right. Congratulations, everyone. Pam, did you want to make any announcement tonight?
Well, I'm sure most of you have probably heard already, but I'm resigning. Kathy did ask that I stay on until October, and Sanford, if there's anything that you want to go over before I leave, I'll be happy to fill you in on anything that I can to help you transition. And if anybody else needs anything, I'm available.
Well, I will need some information. I don't know exactly what the duties of the treasurer are. I will need some guidance if there are any, I don't know if there's any procedures that are followed or how to run the reports. I don't know who runs the reports that come out, et cetera.
The reports are all run by the office administrator. But everything else, if you want to pick a time or a day or something and we can get together and just sit and talk for a little bit, we can do that.
Yeah, we don't want to do it at the meeting, but somehow I would need your phone number. I think I had it at one point, but I don't think I have it anymore. And I can give you a call.
I'll send you an email.
Okay, that'll be good. And I'll contact you.
Well, if I may just say thank you to Pam for all your years of service and all your incredibly hard work and great insight. You have really made a big difference.
And I will certainly miss you, Pam.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been, as most of you know, I worked for the library for 4 years, and then I've been on the board for 4 years. And within that 8 years, I also spent 5 years working for the foundation too. So I've put a lot of time into the library and I've enjoyed it a lot. It's always had its ups and downs, but it's been fun. I've enjoyed working with all of you. I'll miss it, but it's time to move on.
You
so.
can come back. Thank you.
Well, I know I will miss you and really appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pam.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to the Personnel Committee. We also met 2.5 weeks ago, unfortunately not in person, via Zoom as well. We had a rather complex conversation, which I am not going to try and recap myself. I have asked Catherine if she can give us the background of the issue we were discussing and just fill us all in. Whoop, now I've lost everybody.
So in sort of summary, Pam had emailed the personnel subcommittee to look at the holiday policy in our personnel policy manual. So in my director's summary, I took the piece of policy that was in question and Grammatically, it didn't make sense, was sort of the bottom line of our conversation about this holiday policy. So the background is that our staff, our full-time staff members, we have 5 here. So when they have their schedule, there's a staff member off on Monday, and then they work 35 hours between the other 4 days of the week and have alternating Saturdays. There's another staff member's off on Tuesday, and so on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So pretty much what happens is when a holiday falls on a weekday, that staff member's payroll will be elevated because we are paying them for both the 35 hours for the week, but also the 7 holiday hours. So with that said, the wording in the personnel policy manual, grammatically, it really didn't make sense. And I know we made a lot of edits to this manual over the past year or so, and I think it was just an oversight that when I read it, it made sense. So with that said, the original text had an "or" in there that I don't think should have been there. This policy actually looks very similar to what the town personnel policy manual had. And it almost seems like maybe it was copy and pasted from there into ours, but I can't say for certain. So what the personnel subcommittee decided to do is take out those 2 sentences and replace with the wording, if an employee is not scheduled to work on the day of a holiday, he/she will have another day off within the fiscal year, which is mutually agreed upon by the employee and the library director. So what will end up happening in the payroll is that staff member will still be over on that payroll, but they will have 7 hours that they will have to take off during the year. I have always allowed staff members to take unpaid time off if they wish. So towards the end of the fiscal year, I can always see that they're right at their hours. And some staff members actually will take less vacation time, or will take the vacation time equal to less than their actual weekly worked hours. So like if on a vacation week, they may put in for 33 hours of vacation instead of 35, something like that. So towards the end of the year, it all does even out. My request was that this be done within the fiscal year because oftentimes it is very difficult for it to happen within that month that the original policy had asked for. Right now, we are definitely very light on staffing. We have unfilled positions, and I don't see that being corrected or, those filled anytime soon. So I think in the long run, this will really benefit us to be able to say, for that staff member to take off 2 hours this week, 2 hours that week, along the line. So I think I accurately described that, but if the personnel subcommittee or Pam have any input, please let me know.
Can I just reiterate, I just reread it again, just to be sure. Maybe I'm confused, but I don't think I am. I think what you said is that they get paid for that holiday if they have a day off, but they have to take a compensating day off unpaid another time during the year. Is that what this is saying?
Yes, that's what the policy will say. Yes.
Okay, all right. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to re-verify that. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So my question is just, does it make sense then to pay a 5-day-a-week employee for 6 days essentially on that week? My thought was everybody gets their 5-day-a-week salary, their 35 hours. The week of the holiday, of the Monday holiday, that person gets paid 5 days salary for 4 days work, and then the other employees could pick any other week with your approval to also get a paid day off. Like, and I'm thinking of it that way, just so that you don't have a week where suddenly you have 4 more people working an extra day or getting an extra day's salary because of a holiday. Do you understand? we end up the same way, but you don't have that week where you have all those extra hours you have to pay out.
So that would be a floating holiday. That would be,
Yes.
Yeah. so that would be that we would be paying them for the holiday, but this is stating that they would have to take an unpaid day off.
But they're getting holiday pay for that holiday week.
Yes. Well, all employees would, all 5 employees would.
Yeah, it's just when you pay them for essentially not working for a holiday. And
Yes.
the way it's done now, it's just, I mean, if that works out financially, fine, but for my budgeting sense, gee, all of a sudden you have to pay 5 employees. And it's not the one who has the holiday that's the problem, because they're still getting 35 hours worth of pay. It's just that you have 4 other employees who are getting paid for 42 hours that week, right?
No, it is just the employee whose day off falls on the holiday.
Then how are you compensating the 4 other full-timers?
By ensuring that the employee who has the holiday day off, how do I want to say this? Ensuring that the employee who has the day off as a holiday, so they're getting paid when technically they don't usually get paid on that day, they eventually have to take those hours off.
Because if somebody is, if their day off falls on the holiday, they're getting holiday pay for that day.
Oh,
And
because they're working that day?
no,
no?
but they're entitled to holiday pay.
As per the manual.
So they get paid for the holiday that day.
Right, so they will
So-
get paid for working 5 days that week, even though they only work 4.
Actually 6, because they'll work
Oh,
their regular hours, their regular 5 days. And because Monday was their day off and it's a holiday, then they get the holiday in addition to it.
right, but that's the problem. It's the person who normally works on Monday who gets the Monday holiday. That all works out fine. Their weekly salary doesn't go up. They're just working fewer hours. But it's okay financially to pay 4 people for 6 days work in a week?
It's
when
only
usually-
one person.
Oh, it's only one?
Well, usually it's only one person. And it is on other holidays too. It's always only one that would get the extra pay.
Meaning the holiday pay.
Well, no, because the holiday, they're actually entitled to the holiday in that week. They're actually working an extra day. Because what used to happen is when somebody's day off fell on a holiday, they would take another day off in that week so that they were only receiving the 35 hours or whatever the hours are, that their normal hours are.
Right.
So it was the holiday pay plus 4 days of work. But what started happening somewhere along the way was that the holiday would come and the person would receive the holiday pay and they would also work their 5 days. The other day wasn't being taken off.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Right.
So now what prevents that from happening?
So now, when we pay them on our end, our office administrator is tracking that we have now paid them 7 extra hours for holiday. So they will at some point during the year have to take off those 7 hours or whatever hours for holiday that they've been paid. So we're already keeping track of it on our end so that they know that they have to take those hours off. Pretty much every employee is given like an hours bank, if you will. And so it's like they're deducting from that bank week by week, and we can keep track of that with paychecks.
Can I ask a question? How many paid holidays are there?
There are, that's the number off the top of my head. Let me just find the personnel manual very quickly. I believe there's 10, but we also have half days for the staff meeting in December, the all staff meeting in December, on Christmas Eve, and also on New Year's Eve. And then, so those are 3 half days, and then the full days are going to be the 6 federal holidays, and also Victory Day, Veterans Day, and I believe that's it. Let me just double check. Of course, it's never as easy to find as I think it will be. I believe, so it's going to be New Year's, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, President's Day, Memorial Day, the 4th of July, Victory Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, and Christmas. So that's 10 full days and 3 half days.
Thanksgiving and the day after.
Thanks.
though.
Yep. Thank you. So 11, so 12 full days and 4 half days, because the day before Thanksgiving is a half day.
So would that be the total number of days that employees would have to take? In other words, because theoretically, one person is going to be the subject of this overpayment 1 week.
So since there are more holidays that fall on the Monday, the staff member whose normal day off is Monday will have more hours that they have to take off. And then, if the 4th of July or Veterans Day fall on different days, that will be for that staff member. Thanksgiving is a Thursday, so our staff member who has Thursday off, they'll have some hours there too. So it really all depends on their schedule.
So again, not to beat a dead horse, I don't want to make a long story out of this, but would it, I know the recommendation is on the table, but would it make more sense just to simply have that person take a day off and not have to worry about tracking who's owed what? Keeping it simple?
So normally I would say yes, but because we have limited staffing right now, it's really difficult to then replace that person during the week.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so my hope would be that towards the end, the calendar end of this year and into fiscal year 21, that we can fill the empty part-time slot that we have, and that, we'll be having more people come through our doors, and we'll need those part-time staff members who we don't also have right now, our on-call staff members. We have like very limited hours that they're here. But I also anticipate there not being a lot of vacation time taken right now also, and that coming up later in the year too. So
this is, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
So I would even say, like, if we wanted this to be temporary for this year and then take a look at it in June of next year to make another amendment to the personnel policy, like that might be a good option. But just because this year has been tough with finding folks to replace the hours, that's the most difficult part.
Your turn, Christine.
Yeah.
I just also wanted to say that Catherine put together several other policies from different places, including the town. And so there were several other policies that we looked, because the wording the wording in the policy in the manual, I was like, I mean, I must have read it 10 times and put the paper upside down in every which way to figure out what they were saying. And then when I looked at other libraries and library systems and the town stuff, it really made a difference because the others were very clear, except one of them who ran, I don't know which one it was, but it ran on and on and on. And it went into paragraphs and it was like, that was too much. But so the others, we tried to keep it clear. And so that's the kind of wording that we came up with. So it's not just on one person. It's like, it's whenever these other holidays fall as well. So that's what we were trying to do. And I think we also decided that it would be good, just as Catherine said, that we take a look at it and see how it's working. So that was, I thought it was a pretty thorough discussion, to tell you the truth.
It was a long discussion.
That's what I said.
And I'm always looking at ways too that this will put us in line with what other libraries are doing or with what the town is doing so that we can sort of be parallel in that sense. And I think that this change to this policy and also our tracking methods will help with that.
Is that what they do at town hall?
So at town hall, their policy says that whenever a holiday falls on an employee's scheduled day off, the employee shall receive an additional day's pay or an additional day off as determined by the department head. The day off shall be the day immediately before or after the holiday as determined by the department head. So they do it where it has to happen either the day before or the day after the holiday.
So that's, we thought.
And do other libraries allow them to bank time for the full year?
Yes, let's take a look here. So for Cranston, the term that they use is another mutually agreed day off. East Providence is that the individual shall receive a floating holiday instead of the actual holiday pay. They'll get the floating holiday. There's a couple of other examples here too. Providence Community Libraries, he will have another mutually agreed upon day off during the week of the holiday. Let's see, Providence Public. I think, nope, that one didn't have anything in there, but I did find a municipal contract there. So it really varies upon whether it is in the week, during, or they get a floating holiday or another mutually agreed upon day off.
All right, any other questions? So I'm going to read, I think Catherine has summed it up in her director's summary. The original text of the Personnel Policy Manual says, whenever a holiday falls on an employee's day off, the employee is entitled to another free day or to be paid for the work at 1/5 of the work week. Such days can be saved and used on another date within the month if so desired. What the Personnel Committee has recommended is that we strike those two sentences that I just read and replace them with, if an employee is not scheduled to work on the day of a holiday, she will have another day off within the fiscal year, which is mutually agreed upon by the employee and the library director.
I think it should state in there that it's an unpaid day off because you're going to be paying them in the pay period.
I think that's an excellent suggestion.
Right, because otherwise it sounds like essentially they're getting a floating holiday.
You're right.
And again, it financially or in terms of budget, a floating holiday isn't easier than paying them all for the holiday the same week.
So the floating holiday indicates that we would be designating a new type of pay. and that they would then be sort of given like a floating holiday bank to use at another time, because we still have to pay them for the holiday.
Oh, okay. See, that's
Yeah.
where I get confused because I'm thinking, just wait. But
Right.
you do have to pay them that week for the holiday.
Yes, as per
Okay.
the current personnel policy manual, there was the one that had said, you know, we're not paying you for the holiday this week, you get a floating holiday. That was, I think, East Providence.
Yeah.
So that's an example of using that instead.
My only other concern would be that if these days can't build up, and then somebody takes a whole week off or something like that, and what that's going to do to your schedule, as opposed to just putting in place, you have to take another day off the week that the holiday occurs. I don't know.
Mutually agreeable though. So if Catherine doesn't agree to it because it doesn't fit in this with the schedule, then the policy says that she can deny that request.
But you've still accumulated all these days that you're going to have to give off at some point before the end of the year.
So just from my perspective, what I would do in that situation is that if they are not working on a desk that I would need covered on, say, a Tuesday, I would tell them that I would only approve them taking off on a Tuesday.
Any other comments, questions right now? So the committee would recommend that we strike the two sentences that we have discussed and replace it with, if an employee is not scheduled to work on the day of a holiday, he or she will have another unpaid day off within the fiscal year, which is mutually agreed upon by the employee and the library director. That is the Personnel Committee's recommendation to the full board. Do I have a motion to accept this recommendation?
I'll move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, shall we move on to the director's report?
Sure. So I passed along some statistics to you all. I am very excited to report that we had close to 1,000 more visitors in August than we did in July. So our patrons are coming back. We're really excited to see the different sort of creative programs that are coming up, and we are also really loving the outdoor pickup services as our patrons. And so we're going to try and continue porch pickup for as long as possible because that has been pretty popular. And then once the weather starts to turn a little bit, I'm already working on having just a smaller piece of plexiglass that we could purchase from Amazon installed out on our drive-through window so that it is easier and folks don't have to get out of the car on, say, a bad weather day. So we will switch from porch back to drive-through at some point, and stay tuned for that, but it won't be until later in the fall. I submitted our annual report last week, so Kathy, you'll probably be getting an email to digitally sign those for our grant aid coming up, and as will our town treasurer. That's the usual process, is that both my signature, the board chair signature, and also the town treasurer signature are needed to verify that we used our grant aid this past year and that we're going to be applying for grant aid next year. With that said, if there's no questions about statistics, I do have a few operations updates for you. Yes, Carol.
I'm just wondering, I know you spoke about resuming full hours because
Yes.
OLIS has required that. Have you determined a maximum number of patrons that you will allow in the building at one time?
Yes, it would be 15 right now.
And how did you arrive at that number?
So it is 100 square feet per person. So right now we're allowing 10 in our entryway and cafe area, which has been the most sort of used portion. We will allow up to 5 in the stacks right now, just so folks are not running into each other. So that's where we're at 15. We could expand that, but I am also not taking into account our computer usage as well. So we have, I figured out the exact number and it's escaping me right now. So we could have additional folks in the building, but it is also very difficult with only one person out at the info desk to monitor that. So that is another ball game in and of itself, and making sure that everybody's properly physically distanced and that everybody coming in has their masks on. So that is definitely on my radar.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was something from the state. For instance, you couldn't have more than 25% of your, fire marshal limit. I just wondered if the state had come up with some number for public places, such as
Yes.
the library.
Yes, they did. And I think it was 25%. That would mean we could have 100 people in our building.
Yeah.
I'm very uncomfortable with that, I have to say. So I think that keeping it to 15 gives us a good sort of number that is manageable for one staff member.
And you're allowed to use your own discretion as long as the building is open to patrons.
Yes, that's correct. Yep, that's correct. So I'll actually move into the operations update if that's okay, and I can talk a little bit about that in there too. Any questions on statistics?
Quick question.
Sure.
Does the 15 include people browsing or looking for books?
Yes, yes, it does. So it's mostly our cafe area and browsing. And then we also will allow some folks to go into the children's room. We're sort of keeping it to 2 families right now. So if a family comes in with kids, then that group is one, and then a second family if they come in. That's all about the limited area that the children's room is open right now. That's really sort of the maximum there, is 2 families that we could have. Okay. So I'll move into the operations update, and I have some news about our grant and aid, which I had sort of alluded to a little earlier. So OLIS informed library directors that in order to receive our fiscal year 21 grant and aid, all minimum standards had to be met by October 1st. So we are already meeting all of those standards, with the exception of our building being physically open for the minimum hours that it needs to be. So our minimum hours are 50 per week. So we're at 24 right now, but we're offering all of our services for 53, which is our normal. So starting Monday the 28th, our building will be open. Our regular, I guess you could say, sort of like the pre-COVID hours, which will be Monday through Thursday, 10 to 8, and Friday 10 to 5, and Saturday 10 to 4. So that's what it was prior. I'm just going to turn my light back on here. There we go. So our building will be back open those hours. What I would just like to say is that we're really still just open for pickup and drop off, and that has been made very clear to us by the state. We are still not encouraging any congregation here, not encouraging being here for a long amount of time. We've been consistently told that the longer amount of time somebody spends in our building, the more at risk they are, and the more at risk we are. So we're really trying to keep everybody sort of in a quicker rotation here, so that it's pick up, drop off, computer use, limited browsing. I do think that we will have to remove the appointment requirement at Union Library. So right now, the occupancy is very limited there. As you know, it's only 2 rooms. But the OLIS directive is that there can't be sort of like any barriers to access, which appointments are considered a barrier. So we'll be removing the appointments, and our staff there will just have to be really cautious about letting folks know that they might just need to wait a few minutes to get into the Union Library until somebody else finishes up. And we'll also be, we don't require computer appointments necessarily. We haven't had, a huge run on computers, but we'll also change our signage to say that, appointments can be made for computers, but not required. We've had mostly drop-in use anyway. So those are the major changes right now. We have had some issues with mask compliance. So we'll be leaving the tables up right now that are currently spaced around the library, so that a staff member will have to have contact with somebody and speak with them before they go into the stacks, and just gently remind them that masks are required at all times in our building, no exceptions. And that includes while browsing. You are not out in the wide open air when you're browsing in our stacks. You're still inside the building, so masks are required. Our children's department had some fantastic outdoor browsing set up this summer. And so they have cordoned off a smaller area in the children's room so that browsing can happen in there. The same thing is going for a teen library. And we have several programs coming up. We have started to do limited in-person programs, and that's because I've allowed them with a time limit, and also the organizations who have come in to do them are, under very, very strict guidelines. So it was DEM came in to do a fly tying program, and the Rhode Island Blood Center came in to do a blood drive. So both of those organizations had very strict protocols and also cleaning protocols as well. And I think that is about it. We are still quarantining items for 72 hours. The Realm project, which we have sort of been instructed to keep an eye on from OLIS, they actually found that the virus lives on items that are stacked together for up to 6 days. So despite that information, we are not receiving any calls from the health department about contact tracing, and that library materials are a big spreader of the virus. So we're going to keep it at 72 hours. I know it's still a little frustrating for our patrons when they return something and don't see it come off their card for a few days. So we think we're balancing, patron services and health and safety very well right now, and we're going to keep it there. Fine forgiveness had been extended through November 22nd. That was a consortium decision. I am hoping that at some point it will become a local decision, but right now it's just not possible with the computer system that the consortium uses. So they're going to be talking to the vendor to see if that's something that will ultimately be possible. And I did opt for us to receive delivery 5 days a week. If they can offer it to us, then we'll take it. So we do have deliveries coming daily. But again, when those come in, we quarantine them for 72 hours. Our computers were also upped from 3 to 8. So we've distanced them around the library, and we now actually have terminals along the West Terrace window bar area. So that was a great use of space there. And like I said, porch pickup will still continue to offer that into the fall, and then we'll switch over to doing drive-through pickup with the hopes that somebody will call us ahead of time and let us know that they want something so we can pack it up before. And that's all I have for COVID operations. Occupancy right now is 15, and I would like to keep it that way just for a little while longer so that we can really make sure everybody is following our mask mandate here in the state of Rhode Island. And then we'll see what we can do about, opening up some more spaces. But like I said, cleaning supplies are difficult to provide and difficult to get right now. So our meeting rooms won't be open for a little longer. They're also being used to store a lot of our furniture that we had to take away and that we had to put into those rooms. Any questions?
All right, I think that is the end of our agenda. Any other comments? All right, thank you all for coming. I move that we adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? See you next month. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Good evening.
Pam.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
bye.
See you later.